We'll do a review on Likutei Sichos in Chelek of Gimel, volume 23. This is the third Sicha for the Parshas Korach. It's a Rashi Sicha. It seems it's a very difficult Rashi. Rashi is talking about how long can you eat the B'choir, the Korban of B'choir. How long could the Kohanim eat the Korban of B'choir? And who can eat the Korban of B'choir? So Rashi starts off that we learn from the pasuk that it can be eaten also by the women, and how it can be eaten, the women of the Kohanim. And it also talks about that it can be eaten for 2 days and 1 night, like the Shlomim. But then when Rashi finishes with B'choir, Rashi just brings down only one of the dinim. But with regards to the Korban Shlomim, he brings down both halachas, that it's eaten not only for Zichri and not only for the males, and it's eaten for 2 days and a night. And then comes to B'choir, he doesn't bring both dinim. He just brings down the din that it's eaten for 2 days and 1 night, doesn't mention. The Rebbe actually says that the Rashi finishes over there by Af, and that's the second Rashi, as the Rebbe will explain the 2 Rashis in the Sikha. Let's look inside. Aleph. In the Heintiker Sedre Zog the Torah dem Din, in this week's Sedre, the Torah says the law, from B'choir Shoir, or B'choir Kesef, or B'choir Eis. The firstborn of an ox, or the firstborn of a sheep, or the firstborn of a goat. So that korban, immediately, that B'choir becomes immediately holy. As Leitipoda, you cannot redeem them. Kodesh Haim, they are holy, these B'choiros. And as Domam Tizrak, and you have to sprinkle their blood on the Mizbeach. There's Chelbam Taktir, and the fat you have to offer on the Mizbeach. You have to burn on the Mizbeach going back. Then the Pasuk says, Ubesorum Yilecho, that the meat should belong to you, to the Kohanim. So the pasuk says, "Kechazei hatnufa ucheshek hayomim," like the breast, like you raise, and like the right leg, which is the gifts that go to the Kohanim. So just like the chazei hatnufa ucheshek hayomim lechoyiyah, this b'choir should be to you. So Rashi explains, tells Rashi if the Werter. So Rashi places himself on the words Chazei hatnufa yomim, like the breast that is raised and like the right leg. What is mefarish, and he explains what does it mean like that? Shel shlomim, that is talking about of the shlomim, and Rashi brings down 2 halachas here. They are eaten to the Kohanim themselves, their wives, their sons, and their maidservants. Another thing, they're eaten for 2 days and 1 night. Those are the 2 dinim by the Shlomim. But Rashi adds, also, the B'choir is eaten for 2 days and 1 night. But what happened, the Rebbe is going to ask, with the din that Afa B'choir is Nechel in Shem of name of just like the Shlomim. If the Torah compares them both, and Rashi starts off the 2 halachas, which are by the Shlomim, that they're L'Nishel, Kohanim, L'Shem, L'Vneim, L'Avdeim, and Shnei Yom, why does Rashi just say Afa B'choir? Nechel Shnei Yom V'Layla, only one of the dinim. Daf and Farstein. So we need to understand. Rashi Hepton by Shlomim Mitzvei Protim. Rashi begins by Shlomim 2 details. Aleph, wer can ze essen? Who can eat them? Lakoyanim L'Shem L'Vneim L'Avdeim. And Beis, number 2, when ze werden gegessen, when you can eat them. L'Shnei Yom V'Layla, for 2 days and the night in between, and 1 night. the day of the korban and the night, and then the next day. And his Messiahim blows mit prat. But then Rashi just concludes with one detail. Ava b'chor nechel l'shnei yomim v'layla echad. Also, the b'chor can be eaten for 2 days and 1 night. Is tamua. So this is surprising. Either way. Oy Rashi is mashmit diverter by b'chor. If Rashi takes out these words by b'chor, that it's eaten in the shame of name lavdeim, but halt as b'chor nechel nor lezichrei kohana, because he is of the opinion that a b'chor can only eat by the male kohanim. That's why Rashi doesn't bring that down. So then it gedarf. Then if Rashi holds out, then it's gedarf bring in the verter by shlomim. Then he shouldn't have brought the words by shlomim that over there it's eaten. Also, not only by the males, also by the Noshma Badim and that over there too. So why does he have to bring it down by Shlomim? But if also B'chor is eaten for the Kanim, etc., for Vosis they mashmit by B'chor, why does Rashi omit them, take them out when he's talking about B'chor? We'll move on. And it's understood as we cannot zogn, you cannot say as Valer vil mekatzer I'm beloshin biloshoine, because Rashi wants to be short in his language. Is Rashi mashmit adin, so Rashi will leave out a halacha. In addition to this, if he wants to be mekatzer biloshoine, so he doesn't even have to say the words. Also, the b'chor is eaten for 2 days and 1 night. He didn't have to say that. Nor shrein b'kitzer, ava b'chor came. B'chor also so. Or the b'chlal is lost them ganzen sim ava b'chor b'chol. He should not even said ava b'chor. He should have just said the way the din is by the shlomim, and then we know to apply that din to the b'chor. The Tmi is not aggressive. The surprise is even greater. The mocker from the Pirush Rashi is in Sifri Gemara. The source of Rashi's commentary is in the Sifri and the Gemara. And in the beide Erte wird in ganzen in der Mond and Prat, and in both places it doesn't mention at all the detail from the Cholim la Kohanim, the Nishem Livneim Lavdeim, the fact that it's also eaten not only to the Kohanim, but to their wives and sons and their slaves. That's not even mentioned over there in the sources of Rashi's. Nit by Shlomim, nit by B'chor. They don't mention it what the din is by Shlomim, and they don't mention it what the din is by B'chor. Hashteit Blois, the only thing that it talks about in the Gemara and in the Sifri is Ma Shlomim Nechol L'Shnei Yomim V'Layla Echod, just like Shlomim are eaten for 2 days and 1 night. B'chor Nechol L'Shnei Yomim V'Layla Echod. On Rashi, but Rashi is Moisif. Is Mishana for Sifri Gemara, and is Moisif than Prat Pirushim. But the Rashi changes from the Sifri and the Gemara, and he adds this detail that it's eaten not only like Kohanim l'shem l'vnei lavdeim. So why does Rashi do that? And then Rashi doesn't end up with that. Ois base. The noch is Rashi meitig de Werter lecho yiyeh und is mefarish. Bo hakosuv bo Rabbi Akiva v'lomat, that Rabbi Akiva came and taught. Hoisif lecho hakosuv havia acheres. The Torah added, when the Torah said that it should be lecha a second time, so the Torah added an additional havia that it should be yours. Lecha yihiyeh. What is the Torah saying should be yours? What more? Shaloi toimar kechazeh v'shoik shel toida. Pasuk says just like the breast and the leg, but it could be the breast and the leg of the Toida as opposed to the breast and the leg of the Shlomim. And the breast and the leg of the Toida, she'eina nechel aliyim v'layla, that's only eaten for 1 day and 1 night. So how do we know the meaning of chazei hatnufa cheshek, which it means that it means the shlomim, maybe it means the Torah, and the Torah therefore says a second time lecho additional extra time. Darf man verstehen, we need to understand all of it. Geret kam upon has spoken many times. Is Rashi maitik them shem balamaymer? Rashi only quotes the name of the author of the statement, not in fal when this is meisik and avonas hapirush, only in a case where it adds to understanding the explanation. But in the dan, but in our case, was verdo besser verstandig? What is becoming more understood, better understood, durch the idea by knowing, through the knowing, as der Maimer had gesagt Rabbi Akiva, that this statement was said by Rabbi Akiva. Base number 2. What is the Arichas Haloshon? Bo Rabbi Akiva v'loma. Rabbi Akiva came and learned. Rashi had gedav zogen b'kitzer. Rashi should have said, in short, kedarke b'kol makom, as he is usual, always Rashi's nature. Amar Rabbi Akiva, says Rabbi Akiva. Now, while in the source from the Sifri and the Gemara, there is unusual language, but Rashi doesn't bring down the introduction. Why does Rashi say Bo Rabbi Akiva Lomar? The Moker for Maimer Rabbi Akiva is in Sifri and Gemara. The source of the statement of Rabbi Akiva is in the Sifri and the Gemara. Und dort is Eichal Loshen Biltirogen. There too, it uses a uncommon language. But there it says Kofetz Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva jumped. Rabbi Akiva jumped in, basically. Aber dort nicht das verstandig. And over there, it's understood that language, weil kommt in mitna shakel v'tario. But there it comes in the middle of it, give and take. It was a debate over there. First, the question was asked in front of the sages in the orchard in Yavne. Then the Rabbi Tavin responded. He asked, therefore, a challenge, a question of Isaac Lili. Was Rabbi Tarfa did he can't enter, and that Rabbi Tarfa could not answer? Is an under line in the shackle of Italia. So then somebody else jumped into the question and answer. Kofetz Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva jumped in. Amar Chulin, he said. Aber wie passt the Pirush Rashi? But how does it fit in our Rashi? The Loshen Bo Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva came in when the ganze shackle of Italia werd nicht the month. The whole give and take is not mentioned. So why does it say this strange language over here that the Rabbi Akiva? Gimel. As b'choyer nechel l'shnei yomim b'layla echad. This that the b'choyer can be eaten for 2 days and 1 night. We don't need darfmanit onkumen tzahei. We don't need the addition of l'choyiyah. Hoisif l'cha kosov aviacheres. The Torah added you for more to be more than extra day. Them didn't learn an open posik. This learned from the verse Shana b'Shana in Parshas Re'eh. Over there, Rashi is not mefarish. Lama, Rashi explains over there. Lama chenechel b'choyer l'shnei yomim v'layla echad, that it teaches you that it's b'choyer is eaten for 2 days and 1 night. So why do we need to have the extra l'choyiyah to tell you that? Dalet. Also, the others here, there's the whole discussion. There's whether this follows the same Madam or a different Madam, but that's in the others. Dalet. Al derech hapshat, from wannet is that hechrech as l'choyiyah is a ribui. Where do we see that l'choyiyah means extra? Is a ribui. Hoisiv l'cha kosov aviyacheres. Torah added to you more additional. Where do we see it from the l'choyiyah? Gimel. The Rabbi Chaim, so the Rebbe explains really what Rashi is bothered by is, if the Torah is just trying to teach us one halacha, why does the Torah have to disguise it or put it under just like Chazei Hatnuva? Why doesn't the Torah say? If we're saying the Torah wants to teach us more than one halacha, then we understand why the Torah uses this lashon, but because it wants to give you two dinim. Let's look inside. Gimel. The Birbal holds the explanation of this. Rashi is schwer the Yitur Alosh in unser Pasuk. Rashi is difficult, the extra language in our Pasuk. The Lechera, noch dem BS state, ubesorem yiyaloch. After it already says that the meat of the Bechoir belongs to the Kohen, as the Bosar HaBechoir belonged to Kohen. The meat of the Bechoir belongs to the Kohen. Was kommen Meisiv sein of them, so what is coming to add to that, to the words, Kechazeyat nufach shek hayomim l'choyeh. What is it adding now? Why are we comparing it and saying like the Chazeyat nufach shek hayomim? Their father learned Rashi, so therefore Rashi learns, therefore, as the Verte kommen lernen adin, that they coming to teach us a halacha. In was varaneufem ver besorum nechal, in what way is their meat eaten? Oy mezol ober zogel. If we should, however, say a diverter kommen blois onweisen them zman achila, that these words are just coming to tell us the time, how long they can be eaten, l'shnei yom v'laylecha, for 2 days and 1 night, v'chozu b'shek shel shlomim, as the chozu shekel shlomim is not verstandig, it's not understood. Parvos darf der Pasuk berameh sein. So why does the Torah, the Pasuk, need to hint them din durch Vergleichung zu another korban by comparing it to another korban? With the Werter by saying chazeyat nufach shek hayomim, which means you can eat it for 2 days and 1 night, just as the shlomim. Ubefrat, especially the Torah is comparing it, and that's not sufficient yet. As Dan is klor, we still don't know for sure. Tzidos meant the shel shlomim shel necholim lishnei yom v'layla echad. If it means the chaziyat nufa shek yomim of the shlomim that are eaten for 2 days and 1 night, other shel toida shein nechal yom v'layla, or of the toida which is not eaten but for day and night. And we need an addition as that you eat it on the day that you bring it, and the next day, and then you don't have to say kichazeh and explain it and know the whole explanation. So that's what's bothering Rashi.
Do you want to get out at all?
The phone is Rashi Machriach. So this is what forces Rashi as midiverte chazeyat nufach cheshek hayomim, that with these words chazeyat nufach cheshek hayomim meint men mer viderem ein din, means more than 1 din, nor zwei dinim, 2 dinim. First of all, shenacholim aleph lekohanim l'neshem levenem l'avdeyim. 1 din beis l'shnei yom v'layla echad, for 2 days and 1 night. So now we understand it encompasses 2 dinim in these few words. So we'd rather say that than just say 1 halacha specifically. We include 2 halachas by saying ki chazei hatnufa, ki chazei uchashek hayom. Dalet abizei zech verstandig, vervos Rashi lernt aroi shaloi toimar ka chazei b'shek shel toida v'lechoyiyah. Why Rashi learns it from the pasuk that it means dafke chazei shlomim and not toida, not to say from lechoyiyah, from lechoyiyah. Un will sich nicht verlassen auf den pasuk shona b'shona b'parshas rei, and he does not want to rely on the verse shona b'shona parshas rei where it says clearly that you can eat. Rashi brings down for 2 days. If we should say as in unser pasuk is nitokin limud. If our pasuk wasn't teaching us when we eat, the time of eating of the b'choir at oiskumen, then it would turn out as mit kechazeyat nufach cheshek hayomim. Then it would only be again 1 din. Main der pasuk blois in din nechala kohanim l'neshem livnei v'lavdeim, because we don't know how much you can eat it. That it also talks about the zman, because that you will use the pasuk in rei. But then the Torah should have just said it more clearly. Then we have a question: if it's only 1 halacha, if avos der pasuk them din mitaremes, if it means just to tell you that you can eat, also the women can eat. So why does the Torah say this by remes kichazeyat nufach cheshek hayomim by using these words? Only to be fetish. Ubefrat, and we already find also in the psukim beforehand where it says beferish that women can eat with regard to trumas matonim. Befrat as by them, as far as them state yo beferish that previously it does say so very clearly by trumas matonim l'chol tnufas bnei Yisrael, the trumas of the gifts of bnei Yisrael, the level of truma. The pasuk says clearly l'chol nisati mulavonecha are given to you and to your sons. Live noisacha. And daughters, once it's daughters, you can eat all, not only zichrei kohuna, ubemela, voltman givus oich, so that you would already known also nisheim v'avdeim, because that's included. It's either only males, or otherwise, then everybody can eat it, nisheim v'avdeim also. The Rebbe points out in the Hora, dafar ledem Rashi. That's what Rashi learns. As l'choyye kum klor machen dem din, that l'choyye comes to make clear the halacha for shnei yomim v'layla echad, that you can eat for 2 days and 1 night. B'meila, and therefore, as mideverter kichazei hatnufa cheshek hayomim. So therefore, when the Torah says chazei hatnufa cheshek hayomim, kum the pasuk is on tzvei dinim. Pasuk is coming to give us 2 halachas. Sai as nechal lekohanim l'nishem l'bneim v'la'avdeim, that it can be eaten for the Kohanim Shem v'nei Avdeim, on Sai, as Nechel l'shnei yom v'layla echad, and also that it can be eaten for 2 days and 1 night, both halachas. As bleibt aber nicht verständig, but we have to understand. Genau, like we said before, Favos is Rashi Messiah blois mit dem Prat, why Rashi is only including with 1 detail, Afa b'choyer Nechel l'shnei yom v'layla echad. That it says, why doesn't it say also that it can be eaten also in Shem Livneim V'Lavdeya? If this is the specifically what this pasuk is coming to tell us by writing it, and the Rebbe answers very interestingly that actually after Afa B'choyer there has to be a period, and B'choyer includes both things. And then Rashi continues, how do we know? Maybe it's Toida, the continuation, but it stops with Afa B'choyer. Let's see, the Bir B'zeh. Hey. The Tzvei Pirush Rashi Kechazekat Nuaf, Cheshek HaYomim, und L'cho Yiyeh, seine nicht besondere abgeteilte Pirushim. These are not separated, different interpretation. Das ist ein Hemshech, it's one continuation. Rashi sagt dem Limud from Shlomim. Rashi says that's the limud from Shlomim we learn now. Und der Siyum from them, and what's the end of that? Seine Deverter Afa B'choyer. The B'choyer also, that is the end of that. The period after that is the period. Azoivi dine chosev b'shoik. Just as the Dine Chosev Shek Shlomim, which is eaten by the women, not only the Zichre Kona, and it's eaten for 2 days, 1 night, the same halachas, so it refers to both of them. The Rashi starts and says a separate aspect over here. Start a new aspect from Nechel L'shnei Yom V'layla Echad. You're saying that the Chazayat Nufa is a Shlomim. Is the Ahemshech of Pirush, there is a continuation, explanation. Rabbi Akiva is coming and teaching us. By them, Prat is nit genug der Limud from the Werter Chazayat Nufa. On this detail, it isn't sufficient just to learn from the word Chazayat Nufa Cheshek HaYomim Shal Shlomim, because who says it means the Shlomim? Can say like the Chazay Shek of the Toida, which is eaten only for day and night. But you also need to come on also to the Baita Dikaverte L'choyia, to the extra word L'choyia. Hoysif L'cho HaKosu Haviyah Acheres, Torah added another Haviyah. Habizezech verstandig, to clarify that the Chikos, that it means the Shlomim, not the Torah. Habizezech verstandig, Based on this, we also understand was Rashi is medayik. The Rashi specifically specifies and writes bo Rabbi Akiva v'loma. Just doesn't say Rabbi Akiva. He says Rabbi Akiva came wilde mit chlormach. He wants to make it very clear as the pirush is nit has cholas inyan. This is not starting the subject Rabbi Akiva knew. Was demot pasnish the lotion bo Rabbi Akiva. Then it doesn't fit. Rabbi Akiva came in. Nor she's a hemshech on mitten them pirush. But this is in the middle and a continuation connected to the Friedrich Werther Lishnei Yom V'Layla Echad. Shnei Yom V'Layla Echad Bo Rabbi Akiva. So this tells you there is an answer. Rashi bavornt the kasha if the Shnei Yom V'Layla Echad. Rashi is coming to answer the question. 2 days and 1 night. Why are we comparing the Bechor to the Shlom and not to the Toida? Und sagt, bo Rabbi Akiva v'lo mat. Rabbi Akiva comes and learns to give an additional time. So after all of this, cannot Talmud memulach fragen, a sharp student can ask, the Loshna Kosuv is knitting on glatik, the language of the verse is not totally smooth. Because here we're saying that the Lechoyia is sort of coming to add more time instead of just 1 day to 2 days. But usually the repetition is just a strengthening, not something new. The Torah repeats the same language. The is mistaber zu sagen, so it's logical to say, as do retzich in demselben inyan in lechaski. We're talking about the same subject in order to strengthen it. Haderech bin only from Parsha Shlach state. So at the beginning of the Parsha of Shlach it says, ish echod lamata. So what does it mean? One man, it doesn't mean 2 men. It says twice 1 man. Similarly, when it's repeated by the offerings of the princes that they brought the Chanukah Mizbeach state Nosi Echad Layoim, Nosi Echad Layoim. But Rashi is not mefarish them kefil alosh. Rashi does not explain why does it say 2 times. But the derech pshat is doskidei lachazik ulahatgisha inyan, because according to pshat, it's just to strengthen and to emphasize that it was 1. So over here, the choyia. But according to the above explanation, as the erste Teil from Pasuk Besorim Yelov Chazeat Luvach Shekayomim, that first one is nit adin proti nor adin kloli. It's a generally that it should be like the Chazeat Luvach Shekayomim, but we don't know how many days. Aklolos dikertzug leichen zum Chosuk B'Shoik Shel Shlomim in Merve Ein Prat. We know that it's more than 1 detail. Nechel l'kan l'shem chulom, un nechel l'shlei yomim, that it's eaten twice. Und the loshon l'choyia later on is not the same as the first l'cho. The siyum pasuk kommt mar b'zayin ein prat in dem din von zman achilosi, that it's not like the toida, but it's like the shlomim. So the far is Rashi Matkish as them Maimer hat gesagt to Rabbi Akiva. That's what Rashi said, this was said by Rabbi Akiva. Because he goes according to, which is his view, was that halt nit as dibra Torah kiloshim b'nei Odom. He does not hold that the Torah speaks duplicates as people do duplicate. When I came for Lashon Torah in Torah is nit l'shem chizuk uvekayitzaboy. A duplicate language in the Torah is not meant just to strengthen the language or similar, no, but they tzumar b'zayin and in your nesef, but to include an additional matter. L'shoy nesef ribuyin, meaning that the extra languages are actually I bring from the Yerushalmi. On their father learned the Dan. That's why he also learns in our case, as l'choyi is a ribui, that this is coming to include something. Hoisif l'cha kosu habi acheres, the Torah added to you an additional habi. We can it fragen. Can't ask. So how could we can Rashi learn and Bishitas Rabbi Akiva? How can Rashi go like the view of Rabbi Akiva? As lo yamrin on Dibra Torah Kiloshem B'nei Adam, that we don't say that the Torah speaks in the language of people. Pshas Rashi nemton in derech hapshat. When Rashi does accept in the style of literal, when it teaches as Dibra Torah Kiloshem B'nei Adam, that the Torah does talk like the language of people. From them. As evidence from this was Rabbi Akiva learned. Rabbi Akiva learned as der Keif Loshen ish echad lamata kommt marbe sein. He learns as I even Chav Dalet meraglim. He says that there was 24. Ish echad is 2 times ish echad. Rashi learned b'pshutu shel mikra as is an even blois yud beis meraglim, only 12, which means that Rashi accepts not like Rabbi Akiva as Dibra Torah Kilosh, as loy Dibra Torah Kilosh me'odom. So how could we say over here Rabbi Akiva that yet Dibra Torah loy Dibra Torah Kilosh me'odom? Weil dort redt sich wegen 12 verschiedene b'ma'alosom. Over there we're talking about 12 difference in their greatness. The shvotim is verstandig al derech hapshat. Then it's understood in the pshat as the pasuk will matgish, the Torah wants to emphasize that yet the sheder shevet on Gehat Anisha, Gat Isha had one person. The far is a koifel. That's why he repeats ish echad, ish echad. So that's why it makes sense over there. Al derech nos echad liyom, nos echad liyom, but the gabonos hanesim. Mashenkin in do is doch der careful about gosh lechoyi ibrik, but over here it's extra. So in this case, Rashi will agree to Rabbi Akiva that we don't say Divra Torah Kilosh B'nei Adam, and we'll learn that it doesn't mean the Shlomim, that it doesn't mean the Torah, but it means the Shlomim. Zayin. V'yeno shel Torah shel Pirush Rashi, what is the wine of Torah, Rashi's commentary. In Sifri, in Gemara, in the Sifri and the Gemara, is not happening, and there is a thought to vergleichen B'chor Chatus V'Oshem, to equate, to compare the B'chor to Chatus V'Oshem. Over there, they all give them a gift to the Kohanim. And just like a chatus and a nosham is for a day and a night that you can eat the korban, also the bechor should be eaten for the day and the night. Aber Rashi, the night that follows the day of the korban. Aber Rashi is only answering, cautioning, not to say like the chazeh and the sheikh shultoy. The pashtus is their time. Simply is the reason. But Rashi stellt sich auf dem Posik chazeh hat nur für sheikh hayomim. That doesn't apply. Was kann nicht geteilt werden of chatas v'osham? That is not the chatas v'osham. Chazeh hat nur für. There doesn't. It doesn't just get the chazat nufa. The chatos belongs totally to the kohen. They totally belong to the kohen. The chatos. It doesn't get just a chazat nufa shechayom, so it can't mean the chatos. Mashenkin in Sifri v'Gemara, as opposed to in the Sifri and the Gemara, with the shakel v'tariyat zu welchen korban b'chor wird zugeglichen, to which korban we equate the b'chor. Is nit mitzad dem posuk chazayat nufa goymer. It's not because of the posuk chazayat nufa, no mitzad asvara, but because of logic. So therefore, it can also mean chatos. Aber yesh leimar, but we can say, as in them is erdo ani yinadar charemes. There's also an idea according to the hint. Bechor is a remes of Yidden. Bechor is a hint of Yidden. Beni bechor Yisrael. My son, my bechor Yisrael. So Yidden are bechor. Bechor Adam is a Bechor Adam al Shem Adam le'elyon Chelek lekam imal. He is a Adam compared to above because he has a portion of a God from above. Is the nefesh elokis. So what the Bechor Adam is the godly soul, which is Adam le'elyon, the nefesh elokis Chelek hamal. Bechor Behema. What's the bechor of a behema Torah? Is the nefesh habahamish from Ayid. That's the animal soul of Ayid. The farzog the posik. That's what the posik says. Chayr shoyr kesef eis. the bechoir of ox, sheep, and goat was eine kiyudua, which are as known the dry clothes, the kisugim and nefesh abahamis shabi Yisrael, in the animal soul of the is Rashi b'pirusha la Torah dafnish bavorin and b'shoilo zayin. So Rashi in his commentary of the Torah does not need to caution us and negate and reject as b'choir is gleich to chatas v'osho, to think that b'choir should have the same as chatas v'osho. But mitzad pshutish mikro, because when we talk about the simple pshat in the pasuk, vues vert mutgesh the pashtus von ayidin, pshutish mikro tells us about the simplicity of a yid is nitokin because al kadaitoch. There isn't even a thought afila as a yid mitzad atzmei that a yid on his own hot ashayches to chatus ve'osham to a chatus and osham. We don't even think that we're talking about b'choir, that the b'choir should be like the chatus ve'osham. V'negeya the nefesh elikis von ayidin. When we talk about the godly soul, state in Zohar, it says Zohar b'pashtus upshitas, very simply and very obviously, if in posik says nefesh kisechto. Tva, how could it be? Person kisechto says the Zohar. Tva surprise. As I feel in bechinas nefesh the niedrigste darga, even in the level of nefesh, which is the lowest level. From the chamisha shema shenikru nefesh elikis, from the 5 names that the godly soul was called, is atmio pli. It's a surprise, and it's wondrous. How could the nefesh sechto tvo? That's surprising. Rashi is coming up here with even a greater novelty. As I feel the nefesh abamis von ayidin is mitzad atzmen ishayich to achet. On its own, doesn't have any connection to sin. And even more than this, afilu b'soram, der guf hagashmi sheloi is euch nitoke zal kadaitoch zu vergleichen im machen ashayches zu achotos ve'oshom. The basar that you eat, how long? So we're not even, Rashi doesn't even entertain like in the Gemara and the Sifri. Maybe it's an osham. Maybe it's like the no. The besorum cannot be equated to make an equation. Macha shayches achatas v'osham, but it's connected to chatas v'osham. Nor kachazei atnufa cheshekayom shel shlomim. It's like the chazei atnufa and the shek of the shlom. Those was the nefesh alekis von ayidin. Is Yordav in Islapshir and Nefesh Abahamisun in Aguf Gashmi, that it descended and it dressed up in an animal soul and in a physical body, is Bechdeis of the Fun Machum Ashlomim. They should make Ashlomim in Sholem Ba'olam. As Oich Olam Haza Tacht Nagashi Vachumri, to make this peace that also this world, the physical, materialistic world, so Verun Adira Lo Yisbarach should become a dwelling for him blessed. So we don't even have to reject the chatas because not shaykhs to chatas, but maybe a shlomim. But a shlomim, but maybe a toida. Ches, was that Rashi yeshelo zayin? What do we need to reject? Shalei kechazei v'shek shel toida. Don't say like the chaz v'shek of toida. Oich toida is a korban shlam. Toida is also a korban shlamim. But in Yona but the idea is as free as the ultimate given in a matzav shel settlement. First, he was in a dangerous situation. When that is the full geratet geworden in a neuen bilti rogel, and he was saved from that in a unusual ways. Und der Fahr bringt a korban toida. That's why he brings a korban toida. What is this meaning of this in the spiritual service? As the Mensch hat a größeren Nisoyin und Schwierigkeit bei Avodos Yisbarach. The person had a great test, difficulty in the blessed service of Hashem, which put his spiritual life in danger. Nor ratzes sich from der matzev durch hanes, but he saves himself from that situation by miraculously. Durch an avoida bilti regila. Through an avoida which is unusual, hergel nasa teva. Hergel becomes a teva, but he does it beyond teva durch Mesiras Nefesh, shalamaylu metam vadas. Through Mesiras Nefesh, higher than tam vadas. That's how he overcomes. And therefore, is doa kasalka daitoch. And therefore, there is at least a thought as Alpha people say mitzad atzme, even though Yidan itself is not shaykh to chatas v'oshim, is not connected to chatas v'oshim, but mitzad guf v'nafsha bahamis, but because of his guf v'nafsha is a shaykh to nisyonis to b'shal sakona. So that he does have a connection from his body and his soul to test and similar with sakona, as the shlomim, to the extent that the shlomim, the sholem ba'olam b'sertut oiv is verbund mit neis v'toida, that maybe that peace that he accomplishes in the world is associated with the miracle and toida, with this miraculous way. Maybe that is something which is worth to entertain. Is Rashi Sholel Disal Kodaitok? So Rashi actually rejects that even thought as well. Or Mitzad der Pashtus von Ayin, because the simplicity of a Jew, like in him shines the simple belief in Hashem Echad, and that's why he remains with Hashem, blessed, devoted, in in all standings, all conditions. If as I feel to such an extent as by him is it doesn't even have to begin with place of inyonim shel hepach for matters the opposite from his Yiddishkeit. So therefore, we can't even compare and say that the Bechor Adam is connected to the Bechor Toida, which is comes like in a miraculous way, and he needs an Nisyonis, and he has to use Mesiras Nefesh. But the Yid is not even shaykhs to that. Those goof of us, a Yid felt, the fact alone that a Yid feels, that there exists a test from which he needs to save himself, especially especially that you need to come out to a miracle, that points us by that something not Jewish got involved over there. Al derech v'chatas v'osham, similar chatas v'osham, was a Yid. It's ad atzmei hot kan shaychus nider. So a Yid on his own has no connection to that. Al piteva from a Yid, because by the nature of a Yid, hot nish kan shaychus to inyon from hepach hatoiv, he has no connection to matters that are the opposite of good. From the fum kommt euch herab in Gashmis. And from this, we also come down in physicals. When a Yid is as bedarf zu sein, when a Yid is the way he needs to be, he doesn't need any miracles. And then have a korban toida. When he gave him Agashmi as his physical standing is because this is in nature. Hashem is with him. And therefore Hashem sheberecha. Hashem guards you, Hashem tzilcha, yad yivanecha. Hashem is your shadow, standing by your right hand side, in the light of the face of the king and his life. The Eberster Gitim Alim Yonim. Hashem gives him all matters, children, life, and food, and everything in a wide way. This is Mesichas Motzei Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Korach Tovshin Lamed Ches.